Well, good day everybody and welcome back. Well, last week I went down to QLab to visit Ethan Moses, and Ethan was playing around with some ideas that I had kind of sketched and have started tinkering with several decades ago, which are pixelator cameras. So here's an example of a very low resolution pixelator mask or grid. This is a 9x9 grid. The pitch is approximately ½ inch, and the front side of the grid that faces the camera lens is a translucent material. In this case, it is vellum. The back side of the grid would normally be open and would be sandwiched against your film or paper light sensitive medium, but I put another layer of vellum on the back side just so you can see kind of what the photo paper would see. And as I backlight the mask, you can see the light coming from the front. You see the shadow of my fingers. It tends to directly pixelate the image just using strictly optical means. So I'm sitting next to a big laser cutter here. I'm in Ethan Moses' shop, and we are collaborating on what we might call a pixelator camera idea. A gridded camera, gridded images. These are things I've played around with in the past. So as a general family of cameras, I've created 3 different kinds of these pixelation effect cameras. The first is what I call the pixelator camera. It uses that classic pixelator grid in the back of the camera against the film plane, as you can see here, and there are 3 sample pictures on the right. This is only a 30 by 30 pixel resolution, so 900 pixels. So the smaller the images or the further away you stand from it, the more easily you can see the image. So the next family of these pixelation cameras is what I call the light pipe array. Uses a cluster of tubes, each one of which creates a spot of light at the film plane. So you can see the front of this camera on the left. It has a wide array of these tubes, and on the back of the camera, you can see how the ends of the tubes are all clustered together into one array. And then there are 3 sample pictures. This is a 22 by 22 pixel resolution camera. And again, the smaller the image is or the further away you stand from it, usually the clearer you can see the image. And then a modification or an update to the light pipe array was what you might call a tubeless light pipe array. It uses an aperture grill of holes in the front of the camera, as you can see on the upper left picture. And on the upper right picture, it uses a single hole midway back on the camera. And this creates a grid of virtual light pipes. So each pixel hole in the front of the camera can only pass through the one single hole in the middle of the camera, creating the same effect as a light pipe array, but without the tubes. And this particular camera is 30 by 36 resolution. You can see these 2 sample images below. Ethan also was interested in using what we might call checkerboard masks. These are masks cut with a laser cutter where every other opening in the grid is open. Like, think of it as a chessboard with all the white squares are open and all the black squares are opaque.
Oh, this is a new optical illusion. Oh shit! Because it's differentially blocking shit from my left and right eyes. It's so trippy to look at you.
Your face looks different as you move it, right?
Yeah, because my left and my right eye are not necessary. They're seeing like a highly different set of things.
Yeah.
And by changing the spot size based upon the distance from my eyes and the distance between them, I've achieved, like, my brain is putting you back together, right? But it's like in the craziest way, where I have like retinal rivalry of like a green image and in your head. Oh, that's a really good optical illusion.
This is the 5mm pixel pitch.
Ooh.
Differential
Cut
pixel mask.
From poster board. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
I see
pretty,
you. Wow.
Pretty nutty effect from here.
We're making pixels today, and the corners are very sharp when you rub your hand across them. They're Pixel Factory. This is where they come from, if you're curious. Well, good day, everybody. So next day, we're down at QLab, and we have the big 20 by 24 inch camera. And Ethan has been doing more laser cutting of parts. What he did is he cut a mask here that's cut from acrylic, and it's about 1/4 inch deep and about a 1/4 inch pitch. Then we have a layer of like tissued paper, tracing paper over it that's going to be a diffusion screen. So the lens of the camera is going to project an image on the front side of this paper, and then each of these pixels will have a pixelated image, we hope, onto the paper, which is the blue surface you see behind it. So the whole thing is, all of this has to be attached to the film holder in pitch darkness in the darkroom underneath the paper. So this is just a test fit.
So 45 at f4 is, or at ISO 4 is 32 at 2, 22 at 1 with filtration. We're down to 16.5 or 11.5 with the filter.
So these are some of the paper masks that Ethan cut yesterday. We're going to be using these for doing this kind of gridded imagery where a part of the image, like every other pixel, might be out of focus, or it could be two different images, two different portraits, with every other pixel is one person, the other alternating pixels are the other person. So we have a lot of experimentation to do here, but what we're doing now is trying to make the pixelator camera itself work with a 20 by 24 inch back. And these are some of the portraits that Ethan has been doing recently with various people in the studio here with the 20 by 24 inch camera, RA4 paper, and the direct positive reversal process for RA4 paper, which we've talked about in previous videos here, but it basically involves developing the paper in black and white developer, stop bath, rinsing that, fogging it with light, room light, and then putting it through RA4 developer and Blix so it reverses. And of course the camera lens needs filtration because the paper was intended to print from orange colored C41 negatives, have an orange base to them, so you have to compensate for that. Anyways, this promises to be a very long day because what Ethan has to do in the darkroom is, in pitch darkness, he has to untape that big acrylic mask, put the paper down, put the mask over it, tape it all up in pitch darkness, going strictly by braille, really by feel, tape the sheet of tracing paper over it, that's the projection screen. And then after the exposure, which we're going to be doing a test exposure, after the exposure, he has to go back in the darkroom in pitch darkness, take the dark slide out and remove that grid mask so that we can take it back in here and develop the paper. So that'll be fun. Well, I just got myself nuked here with two really powerful strobes, and this is the film back that he exposed it in. So now Ethan's going to take it into the dark room and remove the mask.
Forgot about that step.
Yeah,
I thought we were going to develop.
No. You have to take the mask off, and I can't film in there because it's,
It's no filming
watch
zone.
out for the string there. Okay. No filming.
BRB.
Okay, BRB. Yeah, so I still have two spots of light up here from these two strobes. Yeah, I wonder if you have enough pictures taken of you with these really powerful strobes, these speedotrons, if it's bad for your eyes. These are like really powerful flash tubes. And there's two of them here. Ethan is using a Lomo, Russian Lomo lens, 800 millimeter f10 lens. It's where science meets art.
In Dr. Thunder bottles.
Yeah. Okay, Dr. Diet Thunder.
Ooh.
Black and white developer, right?
Yeah.
So we had to figure out the right exposure. There's a sheet of tracing paper over the front of this grid mask, and Ethan had to figure out how much light loss there would be. So he just metered his lights through the mask, through the paper, to figure out how much light loss or how much he'd have to add. So like, what, one stop roughly, or maybe?
Half a stop.
Half a stop, yeah. So
One stop, half a stop.
we don't know for sure if that'll work. This is our initial test, so, we'll see. Okay, stop bath. Ooh, so we have a negative Joe. a negative gridded Ooh. So we had tracing paper only over this side of it. Whoa. That came out better than I thought.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, man. Okay, this is interesting now. Now I'm a believer.
Let me just get a little
more stop.
fresh stop in there, just in case. I mean, I think we're getting there. I really think this is, if this looks nice, it'll be a canonical piece in our quest.
Yeah.
But really, where this is going, we have just begun here.
So the challenge that Ethan had in laser cutting this 1/4-inch thick sheet of acrylic, it's 6 millimeters or whatever, was the acrylic. There's so many cuts that were so close together that the acrylic started heating up and warping. So the acrylic sheet is warped, and he's having to use gaffer's tape to try to tape it down flat enough against the paper. But it's going to be a challenge making a better version of that. He's going to have to do some laser cutting where it has some pauses in there to let it cool down. All right, we're draining the stop bath. Drain that stop bath. Now we gotta rinse it.
Cleansing milk.
This is for the complexion. Joe's complexion needs a lot of help. This is looking better than I thought it would, really. I thought we would lose so much light through the tissue paper that it would just not.
No, it looks like half a stop, like
Yeah.
we calculated. That's what it looks like. But I mean, we'll see soon.
All right.
There we go. Let's find
This is
out.
what everybody wants to see.
Yeah, this is what I want to see.
Ooh, very
Maybe a
interesting.
little dark, but where this is an interesting result, nevertheless.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
All right, the Blix bleach fix in one step. One stop Blix and bleach and fixing for all your bleach and fixing needs.
This is, I think, a canonical test. This camera is clearly the first tool we've had that makes
Oh yeah.
good pixel art, usable pixel art.
Yeah, we definitely have some things to talk about here when we get it finished rinsing, because there's some definite pixelation effects that are very interesting. You can see the pixelator cell working.
I'm glad I blew our morning on
This 3x2 rectangle of my nose, the hot spot wasn't 3x2. That is indeed the pixelator effect, where the cells are averaging the light and colors, not perfectly though, which makes it really cool. But yeah, so cool.
I was talking to Gary about that this morning, and he was like, how are you going to make sure it's like a perfect pixel? And I was like, I actually want it to be very close to a perfect pixel,
but
single color. But I want you to, when you get close, be able to see just a tiny bit of gradation in the pixel, so you know that is an analog pixel.
Yeah.
You can see where I stopped my laser, and the grid is off here because the shit was warping, and I was trying to get it.
I like the rectangular robot eyes. They're very cool. We're getting away from the construction noise and also have a place to hang this. Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about what we're seeing here, because some people might be new to your RE4 process, but this very colorful border effect just comes from, there is a magnetically held mask border that holds the paper in place in the film holder, and chemicals seep underneath it at an irregular rate and just cause this random kind of misprocessing or kind of interesting effect. But this picture is so cool because when you stand back, it is definitely an image. I mean, you can see, kind of like almost like squinting, you can see the detail, but when you come up close to it, like you can see my eyes, the two lighter blue and then the dark in the middle. So there is some pixelation effect, like the pixelator cell, each one of these cells, the light hitting the tissue paper at that point is sort of being partially averaged into some partial color. Not perfectly. You can still see a little bit of features, but like this 3x2 rectangle on my nose, and my mustache looks a little kind of blocky, and it's just very cool. It's an analog pixelation, right?
How far do you have to back up before your eyes turn it into just a picture?
I like the imperfections. Like you don't really see the bit rot up here as much, but over here, this is just where the screen breaks down. It's just very interesting, right? And this kind of stuff here. Okay, this is our second attempt, and Ethan has centered the tissue paper better and given it a stop or more of exposure. And now we're just waiting to see if there's any magic. Ooh, yeah. That's why it looked like less detail, because it's actually exposed better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This part's interesting down here, too.
Yeah.
And we're thinking this is probably a magnet, or it's a pixel that fell loose or something. Yeah. That's very interesting.
It is kind of magnet-shaped now that it's developing, but...
So I'm wearing a black shirt, but it's interesting over on the side here. It looks kind of brown.
I think that's because it's reflecting a good deal of infrared.
Oh, yeah.
It's probably got a poly mix in that shirt. I bet it is not 100% cotton.
Probably not. Maybe these are thought bubbles. These are whatever was floating around in my mind at the time,
So this is a very nice analog portrait. I mean, you're really, like, from this distance, it's it's very hard to see, but as you even get this far away, it goes back to photo land, which is very cool. I like the graduated pixels.
Yeah.
It's, this is good. I would like to build a excellent tool for quickly making these to make like 10 or 20 in a series.
What's interesting about this viewing distance has a lot to play in how you perceive the image, and that makes it like an interactive art with the viewer in the gallery, right?
Yeah.
So, our next experiment, Ethan, we have what?
We got this mask here. We can check it on this Paganil. So it's asymmetrical. So notice his left eye, or his right eye, but the left eye is exposed in this picture, but when I flip it, the left eye is now covered in the right eye. So we should be able to interdigitate, if you will, two different images. So the first one we're going to try is just one in focus and one out of focus image overlaid upon each other.
Yeah.
And then the next one I would like to try is one in focus and then one pixelated. So one regular, and then when we flip the mask, we'll also
put the pixel
add
grid on it.
the pixelation filter. So we'll have a little bit of like full detail and a little bit of pixel detail. But that is very hard with such wobbly ass tools that we have right now.
Yeah, this is a 50 millimeter pitch, and we have some others, different sizes. But
we also have recursive division of these cells into other grids.
Ooh, that's a very interesting picture as a negative. And now
let's find out
what happens as a positive. The grid gets blue immediately. That's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. Amazing.
Oh, yeah.
We're onto something for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. I wish that more of your eyeballs were in a focused point in the grid, but we are damn close to making some really unheard of, unseen. I've never seen this before, digital or analog, right? Yeah. This is both beautiful and interesting, and like, how did they do it? And also, this is a good one.
I like the sharply focused hair and then blue. Yeah, that's interesting. I think we need to. Yeah,
a you and me one, a you looking left, looking right. Like,
there's so many
interesting analog things.
Pairings, different pairings that you could do. Yeah.
Cool.
I like the sharp and the dull eyeball there. It's just Well, maybe this reveals the inner psychological state of Joe more so than the other pictures. We don't know.
Man torn between the
Yes.
digital and the analog.
That's
era.
right. So you have like sharp hair, fuzzy hair, intermediate
Intermediate hair.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. So tell us the experiment that we're doing now.
The experiment we're doing now is, did we ruin it or did it come out?
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we're doing we're doing two of the prior things together. So one set of squares is the pixelator, and the other set is sharply focused.
Or as sharply focused.
As sharply focused as we can get. Yeah, this is very interesting.
Yeah, so the one thing is I wish I had some more detail that was like more of a full eye. I do like that I have a blue pixel, right, in the pixelated eye, but I mean, I think we've just entered this as more of a printmaking tool today.
So this is a combined Ethan and Joe image with a 10 millimeter pitch grid, checkerboard grid, where the checkerboard is flipped between my picture and his picture. So it's going to be like a combined image. So once I step back, it's very interesting.
Do you see anything?
Yeah, in the camera, it looks interesting. Okay, color developer. Starting to turn color. Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something.
Oh, there's an eye right there. Or is
an eye, a nose. I mean, it seems like something's going on here for sure. But
what's going on?
You know, like my head is here and your head is.
Oh, it's very interesting.
I would do another one of these eventually and try and get.
I think the exposure is pretty decent.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Oh wow, you can see it from back here.
You know, it's interesting to look back on my channel here. I started this channel not with typewriters. I started this channel showing some of my homemade pinhole and other kinds of box cameras. So it's really great to kind of get back to this subject matter and revisit it, especially revisit these old ideas that were in my photographic sketch journals and these little cardboard and masonite board, wooden boxes that I cobbled together over the years, trying to explore these new ideas like pixelator grid cameras. And it's especially great having a friend like Ethan who has the skills and the tools to bring these projects forward into the future with higher resolution, color, images, much larger format. And it's really exciting what we've done thus far. And I look forward to seeing what Ethan does in the future. And from QLab in downtown Albuquerque, stay creative and have yourselves a great day. Bye-bye for now. Say bye-bye, Ethan.
Bye-bye, Ethan.